Hey, this is Bill Mosley. I play Otis in House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects and Chop Top and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com. Don't touch that dial or I will lick your plate. Oh, no.
This is Bill Johnson, and you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com. Feed your head.
All right, we're back. Welcome to Without Your Head Horror Radio. I'm Neil.
And I am John.
And we're joined right away by Bill Johnson of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Leatherface, among many other movies. Welcome to Without Your Head.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Cool. Well, I'll let everybody know right away. You're going to be appearing, I think, this weekend, isn't it? For the Fear Fest?
Yes. Fear Fest 07, just outside of Dallas in Mesquite, Texas.
That's all. Are you going to be there all 3 days?
Yeah, you sure are. All of us, I think, all four Leatherfaces should be there all 3 days. Mm-hmm. And we're looking forward to Toby making an appearance. Mm-hmm. Along with, there are a lot of guests slated to be there. It should be a wild time.
Oh yeah. Do you enjoy doing the fan fest and the conventions, meeting the fans?
I do. I get overloaded fairly in the middle of the weekend because there's so much stimulation going on. I mean, it's just a giant, like an airplane hangar size room full of obsession. It's really awesome.
Mm-hmm. What's the strangest thing anybody's had you sign?
A hook, I think. Artificial.
It was their hook?
It was theirs, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, some guy did bring in like a baling hook. And, machetes and chainsaw bars are sort of run-of-the-mill now.
Yeah, I was thinking they probably asked for the autograph the chainsaws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fairly costly. Either toy or actual working.
The real deal.
Yeah, one fellow had a custom chainsaw made up with like a 6-foot bar on it. It was really giant. Mm-hmm. So he got a lot of signatures on it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that'd be a good thing to take around and get everybody signed it from all the different Texas Chainsaw Massacre films.
Yeah, you kind of need a golf cart or something to haul that thing around. It's so huge.
Anyone ever start one up?
No, no. I guess it was in either the year we released in '86 or it was the next year. I did a personal appearance at the Limelighter in Chicago, and they said, "Okay, we're getting ready to do this. Here, take this chainsaw, start it up, and run around to the club." So I did that. I guess they didn't rehearse this because this thing was just oil smoke everywhere. People gagging and coughing and screaming. It was not a good idea. It was interesting though. It was an interesting kind of a stunt. But typically they, no live chainsaws allowed in the convention.
I think that's probably a pretty good rule.
I think so. It's too easy to get buried in the role and end up, slicing and dicing fans. And that ruins everybody's weekend.
We talked a little bit off air with you about the movie posters.
Yeah.
Which one was your favorite? I guess a lot of people talk about the one that spoofs the Breakfast Club.
Well, I like them both, but their own. They have their own charms. But I guess I like the Breakfast Club. It's real smirky.
Yeah.
I think of it as the eat the rich. Sort of how I think of it. Mm-hmm. Because they're eating upper class yuppies. The original script, the way Kid Carson had penned it, was really different than the finished what we ended up with. Because he wrote a really wonderful wonderful black comedy, excuse me, satire, and it was incredibly funny, and but it was like maybe a little too highbrow for the producers, Golden and Globus, so they started dumbing it down, and taking out pages, and make it more bloody, make it more. So,
do you think they could ever, put it back together the way it was originally intended to be?
I don't know. I don't know how much. They shot a lot of footage, and I don't know how much they stored. I imagine it's stored someplace. Usually they don't throw that stuff away. I think I read that Toby said that he said he pretty much cut what he wanted. Maybe out of the parameters that he was allowed, that he did what he did, but it's it's just eminently rewatchable movie, and moves right along.
Were you surprised though when you saw the final cut of the film?
The final cut, yeah, I saw it with Bill Moseley up in New York when it first opened, and I kind of wanted more.
Right.
Of course, we had spent so much time with it. We knew our experiential reference with that movie was 100 times longer than the movie. So it would seem a little shorter. However, it was just, I just wanted more fun than the 90 or so minutes that we actually got.
Oh, we get a caller here. Who is this?
Leather Dish.
Hey, it's Leather Dish. One of your biggest fans, I would say, especially from our message board. You got a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to know if the suit that you wore was really hot and annoying, and if it made it even harder to run around with a chainsaw.
Neil, could you repeat that question?
Yeah, could you say that again? Yeah, could you say it again, Dish, and then I'll repeat it for Bill.
Okay, was it hard? Was the suit you wore really hot and annoying, and did that make it hard to run around with a chainsaw?
Well, no, did you hear him that time?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, the suit was like in a hazmat suit. It was totally sealed and in a two-piece suit, and with gloves, boots, a wig, and mask. And the only thing I can, breathe through is the mouth hole. I'm looking out. I have two peepholes for the eyes. And the temperature was, it was a really hot summer. So it really was difficult to sustain, long extended periods of activity. And inside the underground portion of the movie, it was a giant printing press room from the old newspaper here in Austin. It's the Austin American Statesman building. And it was the printing press room, so it was like 40 or 50 feet tall, with just superstructure, so there was nothing obstructing the space except a few posts. So they trucked in about 1 billion tons of dirt, and a trillion props, and they did a great job, and about 2 billion lights. They swept like a 50-mile radius outside of Austin. All the shops and the second-hand shops and the Goodwills. They looked for every kind, anything that would hold a light bulb, and they strung it up in there. So it was like 125 degrees in there. It was brutal. Brutal. And then, they had the smoke going, so they had the smoke machine happening, and then after that, they had this thing they called rumble pots, which was kind of like a dry ice thing. Then on top of that, they had these air cannons that shot fullers of dirt, full of earth. It's this really super fine, gritty powder, and shot that into the air. And so they have all this thick atmosphere. And then to top it off, just before I go on, they take, for some reason, hairspray, and they just dose my costume and my mask with this. So all this crud is up in my mask, and I can't breathe. I eventually got pneumonia, along with, Toby. He got it too, and so did all other cast members and crew members.
Mm-hmm.
So it was difficult. It was yeah.
Do you think all that added to to getting into character, all the atmosphere?
Yeah. Yeah, it was real adversity. It was life and death, and it actually was.
Mm-hmm.
And they had shipped in skeletons from the Mideast, and there's no telling what kind of cooties were running all over those. And it stank, and it was horrible.
That was they talked a lot about on the commentary, was like the skeletons you can buy from India, and apparently that's the only country where it's legal. Do you know if that's legal for just anyone to buy?
I don't know. I
think about getting myself a skeleton for my for Halloween.
Well, Ed Neal would probably know. He's into all the merch.
Mm-hmm.
So he probably even had the license to import them. I wouldn't doubt.
Thanks for calling in, Dish. You got a question, John?
Norn Rad from the message board, he actually has a question. He wants to know, what was it like working with Dennis Hopper?
Wow, Dennis was, as you know, he's a man who wears a lot of hats. Besides being an actor, he's a visual artist. He paints and he writes and directs. And at that time, he was directing Colors. And he was spending a lot of time off the set doing pre-production for that. So pretty much only the days that he would shoot would we see him. He didn't shoot that many days compared to all of the all the scenes that were done.
Mm-hmm.
So he was pretty busy. But when he was there, he was always on time, and he was always in a good mood, and he was ready to rip and tear, and he really did. And he's totally interesting actor. There was I used to try to sneak into the dailies, or what they call rushes, where they they screen the previous day's footage. And I remember seeing a scene with Dennis. He had just before Stretch comes knocking on his hotel room door in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis has just chugged a bottle of mezcal, and eaten a worm, and he's having hallucinations. And there's chainsaws coming through the wall, and then he has this mesmerizing relationship with his pearl-handled .45. And it's really interesting, but this stuff wasn't ever used.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else was cut, but I personally saw those pieces, and I thought, man, that's interesting stuff. I'd like to, to put that back in.
Did you study Gunnar Hansen's body language to prepare for the role?
I had not seen the film before I got a call for the audition.
Mm-hmm.
So I went out and rented it, and I watched it, I think, just once. It was kind of scary,
mm-hmm.
but I didn't want to get too much. I just wanted to work with, sort of gut impressions from it. And it was really frightening. I thought that was interesting. There was a sort of a really deep, disturbing, unsettled feeling, which is pretty, creepy, which is, almost, impossible to do, really.
Mm-hmm.
And, I watched everybody, and I said Gunnar, and I went, okay, well, there's no duplicating him. He's totally unique and interesting, and he's really nailed that down, so plus our script was really pretty different, and we were going to go in a different direction. So I got to kind of get a sense of his relationship to his saw and his aggressiveness. And I really appreciated Gunner's commitment to the psychology of this really bizarre character. I think it's really a unique characterization. And my thought was to, work with the writer, work with Kit, work with Toby, and create something together. And they were totally collaborative. Kit really liked. Plus, he's done a lot of acting, like Running on Empty and etc.
I always thought it, like the little dance you do when you got the saw. It's kind of an exaggerated version of the, of the original Leatherface, which kind of adds the comedy value to it.
Yeah, they like to call that the chainsaw shuffle.
You ever do that in like your social life?
I try to separate my my spree killer life and my social life, as when they bleed over into each other like that, it creates problems.
Yeah, I assume so. You got a question in, John?
Gary Mouther, he wants to know, did you know going into the film that it was intended to be a comedy?
Yeah. The script is the kid had written an opening montage as we're rolling, titles, etc. Angle on a beautiful breakfast nook. Morning sunlight streaming on a table and lace tablecloth and imported jams and jellies and fresh croissant. Chainsawed. The chainsaw would come in and saw it in half. Cut to a men's store of fine clothes, shelves of rich fabric garments. Chainsawed. So we're getting a sense that the upper crust is going to be sliced and diced. And I'm going, okay, this is interesting, yeah. 'Cause they start going into business for themselves, and as my friend Tara Galloway says, eat the rich. They're full of nutrients and good food and vitamins that you really need for your body to grow and in lots of healthy ways. So they make the best chili.
Have you noticed, like, over the time, going to the fan conventions, everything, that people have become more accepting of the movie than when it was originally released?
Oh yeah, when it was originally released, I was shunned. How can you be in such a horrible slasher film? Yes, and the critics were hating it and reviling it as a vicious and a travesty of filmmaking. And it's pretty tame by today's standards. It's about on par with Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Right.
In terms of anything that's being offensive to anybody, it's nothing like films that were kind of disturbing, hostile, and I thought Jacob's Ladder was really creepy. And there are others that are more gratuitously bloody and sadistic. This was fairly tame. Toby was afraid of getting an X rating because of just the blood factor.
Right.
That was the problem. That's why I think it came out unrated.
Do you think it took a while for the fans to, most of the fans to appreciate the film?
Apparently, it's had staying power because there's lots of movies that have come out in '86 and a lot of horror movies too. And this one has stuck with us. I think it's because of the story, the language, the performances, and Richard Corris's cinematography. I watched that thing. I don't know. It was looping on. I was at a haunted house making an appearance, and they had the movie running on. It was just looping. So I saw it a lot, and I could really start to examine Richard Corris's camera moves, and they're very complex and very subtle, and you really kind of have to really pay attention to them moving, because he does it in such a way where they're not obvious. But he did some great. He and Toby came up with some great stuff.
You gonna call her here? Who is this?
It's El Santo.
Oh, good El Santo here. You're on with Bill Johnson. You got a question?
Yes, Mr. Johnson, how you doing?
Great.
Yeah, great. I'm asking a question. I hope it don't sound, that one scene you did with Caroline Williams, the scene when you was holding the chainsaw, that one pose that she was performing.
The icebox.
That one scene was like everybody. That was one scene that I always remember about that movie when the title comes up. How many shots you had to do for that part? I mean, was that something y'all just did in the last minute, or was that was on the script?
Now you're talking about the ice tub scene, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That was we shot it in sequence, so that was early on in the filming. Let's see. Actually, I hung out in the trailer for like 6 or 7 weeks. In full makeup and costume, and they would come like every 2 hours to say, "Get ready, you're up next," and just keep saying, "Never mind," So this kept on going week after week after week. Maybe they're trying to drive me crazy. Maybe they did. I don't know. So it was sort of in the middle of the shooting, and we did that in 1 or 2 takes. That's the kind of work we rehearsed. Toby would like to rehearse, which I really think is a great idea. Oliver Stone likes to rehearse a lot too, and he'll even do a separate day of rehearsing and bring in the actors to do that. And I think he gets, he and Toby get really, great results doing that. So we rehearsed it, and then we shot it once, maybe twice. And Caroline, she is just so awesome, and gave such permission to just unwind and let things rip and be risky, take chances. That so we could ratchet up the risk factor and find out where we could end up, and without knowing before we started. And she was, I really have to credit her a tremendous amount. That's sort of our love scene, and
right.
And without the woman, without the actress being willing for something interesting to happen, it just won't. So, right on, Caroline. Thank you.
Well, where would you rank her, for all-time scream queens?
I think she's tops.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was so ferocious and fierce. I mean, she took that chainsaw and ran Chop Top through with it. And she was spinning around like a mad woman at the end of the film on the top of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Wailing that chainsaw and the blowing smoke rings as she spiraled around. I believed her. She was, frightened and frightening. She was good.
Did you have anything else, El Santo?
Yeah, just one more thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
I believe the poster. Whose idea to pose like the Breakfast Club poster? The way it looked. I mean,
I think Kit Carson.
Okay.
The writer. He was with us. Kit was. He was also producing, so which I'm really thankful for, because he took a lot of care in his writing and in the production elements. and we talk about characters and acting a lot, and all those things that were really essential in making something really solid. And he had a little small portable manual typewriter where he'd be writing the new pages. He'd be on the set. He'd be at the entrance of the set. When we did the photo shoot, he came up with the idea for the Breakfast Club, and we got into that because the Breakfast Club was a movie that was sort of anti-establishment. All these rich kids saying, "Hey, get bent,"
Right.
And which was pretty much the Sawyer family motto. Yeah, get bent. If you don't like it, you're going to end up in the pot. So, see what you think about that.
Okay.
Well, thanks for
right,
calling,
thank you
man.
so much. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Do you know why the Joe Bob Briggs scene was cut out?
Good question. I have no idea. Yeah, I think it should have stayed in. As far as I'm concerned, I have no idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on the special edition DVD, they they have some of the cut scenes.
Mm-hmm.
They're like missing like the sound but it's still pretty cool to see them.
Yeah. Yeah. Toby was editing on the lot.
Mm-hmm.
As he was shooting, because there was the producers had signed a contract that movie had to be on the screen by X date, which was coming up really soon. So they were constantly applying a lot of pressure to hurry up. Mm-hmm. And they even sent up another filming team to come in and the B camera team.
Mm-hmm.
And there were conflicts because they were getting real pushy. And I remember Bill Mosley telling me he watched one of the emissaries from the studio pull up in a limousine, and they walked over to the production table. They picked up the script, and they ripped out a bunch of pages and said, "Okay, now you're on schedule," and went back into his limousine and left. I don't know if it's a true story, but it sure sounds like it. Yeah.
You're talking earlier about the caller asked about the the scene with the ice tub and everything. Was there ever any talk of having Stretch and Leatherface like their love story work out at the end? Maybe a little different ending on the movie.
Well, I don't think it was ever talked about seriously by any of the heads of the departments or KIT. We thought about a little Caroline pushing a baby carriage with a little tiny mask on a child, carrying the family shame into another generation. But
they could have spawned Son of Leatherface.
Yeah, but Stretch says I just don't think things are going to work out between us.
Right.
It's not going to happen. So she tried. It just couldn't. It just.
This wasn't meant to be.
Wasn't meant to, exactly.
Another question there, John?
Let's see. Norn Rad, he wants to know, do you think Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 is misunderstood?
I don't know. I guess I'd have to know specifically what the thought was about
right.
it. That I think it was definitely underappreciated when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
However, it was Toby was I think has a sense of how to push the envelope, and he was pushing the envelope for the time of the culture at the time he made it. So that reaction was, I guess, to be expected. However, I think if something's crap, it's just not going to last. So
Right.
so it's been with us, and I don't see it, going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
There seems to be more and more people that keep finding it and enjoying it.
Do you think the Rob Zombie films borrow a lot from the first two Texas Chainsaw Massacres?
Well, I think House of a Thousand Corpses definitely. There were some motifs there that were well, I think homage. Because Rob Zombie is I'd love to work with him someday, anytime, and he's a master of style. He has a tremendous sense of style and a deep, pervading sense of humor. It's really interesting how he handles the visual, auditory elements, and the sense of what the audience will want.
Mm-hmm. You can tell from his movies too. He really loves movies because he puts so many people that were famous from other roles in all his films.
Yeah, he has an incredible sense of history, film history, and juxtaposes it in with the timeline of the movie. It's, I think, really brilliant.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing is the scene where Leatherface, where you put the leather mask on Stretch,
Yeah.
and then the scene in Devil's Rejects where they do that to the woman and she goes running out into the road and gets hit by the car. But actually, if you see that, I mean, it looks exactly like she looks exactly like Stretch does in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 with the leather mask on.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool stuff. I mean, Toby, when he did, was it Invaders from Mars? There was he borrowed something from the original. This character, I can't precisely remember, but this character was rummaging around in this, like, abandoned building. I think it was the name of the school was the building was a school, and it was named after the director for the original movie, Invaders from Mars. And the camera captures something in the corner, a dusty corner, darkened corner, and it's the bubble and the thought, the alien brain monster that was in the original one.
Right.
So I think that's something fun for the director, and it also can fire off a lot of memories for people.
Yeah, definitely. Like another caller here. Who is this?
Hey, this is Ryron.
Hey, Ryron. Nice calling you.
Talk to you, Mr. Johnson.
Hi, how you doing this evening?
Firstly, I'd just like to say I'm completely surprised by your voice. You don't exactly sound like a chainsaw-wielding cannibal. Yeah, you sound like you could be reading the news on NPR.
Well, thank you.
I'm curious what you think about where the Texas Chainsaw series has gone since the second film, and particularly the more recent film.
Where it's gone? Well, I mean, I think you have to remember show business, entertainment industry. So I think it's financially driven. So if it's nice to get some entertainment and some art mixed in with that, but the thing is, they got to make some money. So I thought, Jeff Burr's third one was an interesting take, and then it took a weird turn after that, and a lot of people think that 4 was somehow stepped out of the special world a little bit, and then when the remake and then the prequel starting to go into new directions. So I think it's an incredible tribute to Toby innovation, that there's so much energy in that movie, in that storyline, that it has supported a lot of different kinds of films. And people are still interested in them.
Yeah, not even just the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films. I think, you can look at a lot of movies and you can tell that they were inspired by the original story.
Yeah, and that approach to giving it a sense of it's actually interface reality. The kind of gritty, grainy, documentary kind of look and feel and sound. I was wondering if I would be in danger when I saw it the first time. It was startling.
Right.
Pretty startling.
It doesn't seem like you're watching movies. It seems like you're watching something that was actually filmed.
Yeah.
Do you have a question, Ryron?
No, that's it. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks for calling in, man. Everybody know you else? What was that?
I don't think anybody said anything.
Oh. I think I was hearing some feedback. I also want to let everybody know that he's also going to be appearing at the Chiller. That's April 13th to the 15th in Parsippany, New Jersey. And you'll also be at the Crypticon, September 14th to the 16th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And if you want to find out more information about those, you can check them out at leatherface2.com. And you also have the movie group, which is movies.group.yahoo.com/groups/BillJohnsonOnline.com. I don't think there's a .com at the end, but I'll put all those links up on the website. It'll be a lot easier to check them out.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's too many slashers there.
Yeah. Slasher flicks require lots of them.
There you go.
Right. But I do have a movie coming out, I guess, next month on Netflix.
Yeah. Vault of Grace. It was a drama, independent film done here in Austin. Mary Marchbanks wrote it and directed it. Her first film she ever directed, and she took it to like a dozen or so festivals around the country and garnered a lot of prizes. So it's been really well received, and it's going to be on Netflix. And I think people will really like it. It's interesting. There's 3 different ethnically different families living in the same neighborhood, and how they impact each other's lives, how they intertwine without meaning to, and yet they find a way to connect and get something meaningful going for themselves.
Now, Ryan brought up he liked your voice. Are you happy to do some other work besides the Leatherface role?
Oh yeah, Lord, yeah, working. You gotta wear lots of hats. I've done a number of role-playing games for software. Did the Ultimate series. Guardian of the Black Gate was the main character that I did for them. I did some of their other titles, peripheral characters, but that was sort of the main bad guy, was the Guardian of the Black Gate, Moon Gate.
Was that fun to do?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Get down and get to do a lot of interesting dialogue, and you get to see a lot of kind of cool graphics.
Do you have any children or like nephews? Maybe you could check out Uncle Bill on the video game.
As far as I know, none of my nephews or nieces are into role-playing games. At least not those.
Right.
Maybe doing other stuff.
Has anybody recognized your voice from the game?
Every now and then, someone will say that, "Oh, yeah, I've heard that voice a lot." Yep. But it seems that the horror world of the fantasy world have this sort of impenetrable barrier. I don't know if it's impenetrable, but certainly there's a division between them. I had like one person out of all these conventions over the past 3 years say, "Oh yeah, I'm a fan of the Ultimate series."
Well, I think John's a fan of both horror movies and the video games. I'm probably one of the few horror movie fans, and also I'm a Dungeons & Dragons player, so I'll have to check those games out. Everybody know, again, that's Fall to Grace, that's to be on Netflix, which I'm a big fan of Netflix. I think that's a great place to get movies.
You can get a lot of titles that you can't get anywhere else.
And it's very convenient.
Yeah, you don't have to leave the house.
God forbid I have to leave the house. Everybody know again this weekend, Fear Fest 2007. Anything you want to tell your fans out there?
I really appreciate and am grateful to each and every one of you fans. You really make a huge difference in my life, and I look forward to seeing you at the events and the conventions, and I really appreciate you calling in and coming into the chat room. I hope to meet each and every one of you, if possible, in the near and coming future.
Well, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Neil and John. It's been an honor, and I'm privileged, and thank you so much.
This is R.A. Mihailoff, Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and co-starring in the new Hatchet 2. You're listening to WithoutYourHeadRadio.com.